the Super Speedway.
The day has finally arrived. The return of Stock Cars Major League to Southern California. The preliminaries are over. The $120 million facility called California Speedway is open for business on this first Sunday of summer 1997. ABC Sports and NASCAR welcome you to California Speedway for the inaugural California 500 presented by Napa. Southern California race fans have been waiting for this moment for years. Over 71,000 in the grandstand and thousands of others in the infield have come here today. It's just about time to go racing as 42 cars and drivers get set for 500 miles of competition.
Welcome to episode 268 of the Super Speedway podcast, recorded Thursday, March 2nd, 2023. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, what better way to start the podcast than with some classic Bob Jenkins, right?
Is that what you're capable of when we take a couple extra days?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's incredible.
I mean, it wasn't that much.
Work.
All I did was pull the
man.
intro from the inaugural race. It wasn't that big of a deal.
There's a whole bunch of stuff going on in that audio clip. Nice work.
Yeah, well, hey, that is how good the old ESPN/ABC broadcast would open a show. I mean, that's their work. That's not mine.
Man. I know, but man, good stuff. Always good to hear Bob.
Yeah, exactly.
I miss Bob.
Exactly. And I
I
wanted to remember the
of things
excitement
about
that we
that
had around that race, since we don't have that track anymore.
Yeah. Well, everybody's memorializing it now, and
Yeah.
I had an idea. Eric. I
Okay.
thought, why don't we call Bezos or Musk? Maybe Musk. Musk might be the right one. Why don't we just lift the track up, like the track surface up in the air, and carry it over to Michigan, just set it down gently.
Yeah.
Can't we do that?
Yeah, just replace MIS.
Wouldn't that work? I mean, it would just fit perfectly. We just take the MIS out, put the California layout in, and we'd be all set. It's a perfect fit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if
let's
that
do it.
old asphalt will hold up.
Nah, we'll get a couple good years out of it.
Right.
Maybe one. Yeah, I just thought maybe Musk might be the guy. We get some SpaceX involved.
Maybe,
I don't
yeah,
know.
he's got
It's
the
just
stuff.
Yeah, just an idea. I mean, they're rich enough. They
Right,
could help us out.
right.
Yeah, just lift it up, carry it over. Ain't that far.
Well, then we'd have to run Teslas in the Xfinity series or something, so.
Oh, yeah. Open up a whole can of worms.
Yeah.
I saw I did see somebody tweeted at Bob Pockris that the lights were coming down. So Auto Club Speedway no longer has lights. So if anybody asks, it's already begun. So
yeah.
So were you as sad to see it go as everybody else was? I didn't expect the eulogies all week.
Yeah, I am, because, I mean, I know what MIS is capable of, and that we'll get there, I think, with what we have in the next 10 years. But, yeah, I mean, California's really turned into a great racetrack, and unfortunately, they would eventually, in the next, few years, have to repave it, and it would ruin it anyway. But, yeah, I think, James, I think the biggest issue that I have right now is not that it's not the idea of it being changed. It's the idea of it going away completely, because we don't know yet for sure. Supposedly there's going to be a press conference at Phoenix, and hopefully we'll learn more there. But until they start doing some construction and not destruction, I'm concerned that they're going to change their mind and go, I mean, they just made, and we'll talk about it later, but they made, $500 million on this property. You heard in the intro there, it was $125 million to build the place. So they've come the right direction on it. What's to say they're not going to sell the rest of those 90 some acres that they've kept and get some extra bank,
Right. Yeah. And I know they've got plans. Hopefully we hear, like you said, a little bit more. I'm still optimistic we're going to get a short track out there. I don't think they want to leave the area by any means. So hopefully it turns out to be a good deal at the end of the day. But Yeah, it was kind of strange watching it. And I know it's been off the schedule a couple of times since COVID and all that other nonsense, but I was glad to see how good the track really was again, because we got a good show on Sunday.
Well, and I've said before, I don't. There's tracks that I want to see reconfigured. There's tracks that need work, but I don't really ever call for a track to go away. Losing a track is sad no matter what. I mean,
yeah,
Chicagoland still makes me sad. I'm still sad about Kentucky, and Kentucky was terrible. Do we need 3 races or 2 races at a track? No, but to reduce it down to 1, or try something to reconfigure it. Like they fixed Homestead, which was terrible. We've sort of fixed Atlanta, depending on who you are and your opinions on it. I don't know. I hate the thought of it completely going away. I hope it doesn't. I hope I'm wrong. And, I guess it's really easy, 3 years ago to go, man, we got another short track coming, James. But right now the short track racing isn't good. And the 1.5 to 2 mile stuff is, and it's really difficult to lose one of those good tracks to one of them that isn't good. So I don't know.
Right. And it's hard, especially when the pavement is in that condition, to let it go.
Yeah.
It provides good racing when
we've taken 2 tracks in their prime and gotten rid of them off the schedule in Chicagoland and California.
Yep. And then Atlanta, I know Atlanta had some issues, but the surface there was, fantastic for a while. And I think it just kind of aged out eventually, and then they completely blew it up. So,
yeah. I mean, when you have delays because of asphalt coming up,
yes.
Then
exactly.
It's time to repave the damn thing, So
yep, exactly.
There's nothing you can do there. But yeah, it was a little sad to see it this weekend. But who wasn't sad at California, James?
Go for it, man.
KFB.
Whatever you want to call him, right?
Yeah, the man
Rowdy.
The man with many nicknames. I was always told that you couldn't come up with your own nickname. People had to give you your nickname, but Kyle has come up with his own multiple times.
Yes. Well, Shaquille O'Neal was the one who he had like a million of them, and nobody ever called his bluff. So I think Kyle can handle it. He'll be all right.
So Kyle Busch gets back in the winner's circle. 2 points races in, 3 races into the season. James, I think both you and I thought that he would probably do so this year. Did you think he was going to do it this quick?
Well, after the Clash, I started to get an inkling that he might be something's going on there, and then the son of a gun could be 3-0 if a couple of breaks go his way. So far, I didn't think it would be this quick, Eric, but I caught a whiff. I tweeted this one out, but I caught a whiff of something on Sunday, and it smells like 2021 Kyle Larson.
Yeah.
Because that was Kyle Busch just flat out gave it to him at the end of the race. That was vintage Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
And that could be a problem if everything's clicking over there. That could be a real problem for the rest of the series.
Well, you have to remember that team was clicking last year.
Yep, fast. Good engines.
Kyle didn't forget how to drive. I mean,
That's
nobody thinks that. And I mean, a lot of times if you look at history, sometimes you see these guys make this, this change of scenery.
It happens in sports, man.
All
of sports.
You get complacent where you are. It gets difficult to make changes and to be able to jump in and do something new. Makes me wonder somebody like Jimmy Johnson, James, and instead of going and running an IndyCar, if he would have just left Hendrick and done something different, maybe he could have clicked off some more wins, another championship.
Well, look at Kevin Harvick on the opposite side of the RCR spectrum. Couldn't quite get there. Was basically he was RCR for a long time. Goes to Stewart-Haas 1 year and does the same thing Kyle's kind of looking at. Kyle Larson, same thing. Struggled, had some success. He goes over to Hendrick and boom, championships immediately. Yep. So we got something going on here. We got something brewing, and I don't know if it's that Richard and that bunch can let Kyle be Kyle, combined with, hey, we got fast cars, we got something different going on here. You just plug in. He's the perfect fit for what they had going on over there. Yeah. And like you and I discussed this, Eric, but as great as we think Tyler Reddick is, when you add Kyle Busch, you upgrade. No matter, there's maybe 3 or 4 drivers who are his equal, and other than that, it's a complete upgrade. So you just upgraded the talent big time. and it's already paying off for Richard Childress. It's going to be a fun season if he can keep this going here.
I've been making this comparison for about probably 10 years, 15 years now, maybe probably about 10 years. And it used to piss people off when I made the comparison, but I think it's become a lot more accepted in recent years, especially now. But if you were to take the entire NASCAR Cup Series garage right now and ask somebody, of all these drivers, who is the most like Dale Earnhardt? Who would you pick? Would you pick anybody other than Kyle? I mean,
not right now.
He's Dale. I mean, he's Rowdy. I mean,
yeah,
you know,
exactly. Who was Rowdy Burns modeled after?
Right.
Dale Earnhardt.
He's got the talent. He's rough around the edges. You know, he doesn't take crap from people. Yeah, he's pretty whiny. Earnhardt was whiny in his own right too.
Well, most drivers. Let's be real. Most drivers are crybabies for the most part.
And don't worry, Kyle got a lot of cheers this weekend when he won, but he's going to say something stupid again. It's just he's going to.
I'm glad you said that, because this was years ago, but you and I had always wondered, okay, when does Kyle Busch jump the shark and start getting cheered?
Right.
Eric, if he starts winning like this again with this team, I think he's going to get the momentum's there for him to take. He could start becoming, he's aged into that guy now. You know, Harvick's, going to be retiring, and Johnson retired, and there's not a whole lot of the legacy guys left, and now he's that next guy. Kurt's gone. So time to step in and finally be the hero for once.
I mean, I would argue that all the good villains become a hero at some point.
They all do. Absolutely. Everybody loves seeing Jimmy Johnson at Daytona.
Yeah. I mean, people hated Darrell Waltrip. All it took was Rusty Wallace spinning him out, and that was the end of that.
Jeff Gordon was hated.
Gordon was hated. Jimmy Johnson was hated. Kurt Busch was hated. I mean, now everybody loves Kurt. Tony Stewart was hated.
Yeah, nobody's been booed louder than Dale Earnhardt at Bristol too when he wiped out Terry Labonte.
Yeah,
So
Earnhardt, as much as Earnhardt was loved, Earnhardt was hated by a lot.
You forget things after along the way, and you take, and you know what else we do is we take everybody for granted, and Kyle has been through it now, struggled, and we forget that in 2019, 2018, 2017, like those years, he was a pain in everybody's butt.
Yeah.
Because he was winning all the dang time. And then he started to struggle. And COVID hit and he struggled. In 2021, he struggled a little bit. And last year, he definitely struggled. I mean, 8 top 5s for Kyle Busch, that just doesn't happen. He doesn't have seasons like that,
right?
Anymore. And this was a guy we were thinking at one point, can he get to 100 wins?
Right.
We've had those, discussions circulate, and no, probably not now, but I mean, god dang, he's only 38.
37, James.
Yeah, exactly. And he's not he's not too old that he can't rip off another 20 wins like Kevin Harvick did.
Kyle Busch is officially in his prime right now.
Yep.
And he has 61 Cup Series wins.
Yep, the next 3 years he could rally up. He's got 61 wins now. You get 5 wins plus a year. All of a sudden you're staring at 80. Before you're in your early 40s.
And you could argue very strongly that you got another 8 to 10 years in Kyle Busch.
Oh yeah, he wants to race with Brex, so he's gonna be around a while. Yeah,
Kyle to me is the end of a generation. He's the end of that. He's the end of the Jeff Gordon generation, James. He's the end of that generation that was able to come into this sport and win young.
Yeah.
Because since Kyle, we really haven't seen it. We've seen rookies come in. It takes them a couple years. Maybe they click one off their rookie season, but then it takes them a couple years to get into the rhythm. Jeff Gordon came in and turned everything on its head by winning a bunch of races. And then you had guys like Tony Stewart come through. Kenny Irwin was starting on that trend. Jimmy Johnson, obviously. Some of these guys came in and started winning right off the bat. Yeah.
Yep.
And now we're back to almost the old days where you aren't going to win as a rookie, or it's not expected as much. And but Kyle started his career young and has never, I mean, like you said, he's had a couple bad seasons, but he's really never slowed down for an extended period of time. And
he's had a handful of 1-win seasons, along the way, but for the most part, you don't, he's raced, this is his 19th full-time season, and he's got the record. He's won every year. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, every season you're in the Cup Series, win a race.
Every full-time season. Yep.
That is incredible.
Including a year he shattered his leg.
Yeah.
And still won the championship.
It was a damn championship.
Yeah, wins the championship. Probably not even one of his better seasons, but man, he was on a run.
Right.
The thing, and that's the thing I think with Kyle is when he's got that Tony Stewart thing where he's better when the tides are turned against him. So the year he busted his leg, like he was extremely hyper focused, right? 2019, a little bit of the same thing. Like he lost that championship the year before where he should have won. He was the best driver in 2018. And just came back with a different mindset, more focused, locked in, wins the championship again. It's been a couple of years since then now. So maybe this is that next, it's been a handful of years again. Let's see it again here. If he can get another title to the books.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, I expected him to win a few races this year. I sure as heck didn't expect it to be the second points race out.
Yeah.
And not, he didn't slip into it either. I mean, they ran good all day and were there at the end and put it to him at the end to get the win. So, I think, we do this all the time at the beginning of the season when somebody gets a win, but you don't want to give this dude momentum.
Well, it felt special. This one felt special. And, I put the question in the notes, Eric, but what, I know I kind of phrased it as what does this mean for his legacy right now? But I think what I meant when I put that in the notes is where do you think, 10, 15 years down the road, we're going to look back on Kyle Busch's career. I think this win is going to be one of the hallmark moments of his Hall of Fame career. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, this is a guy now that's been successful with 3 different organizations,
already. I know.
Yeah. And I mean, and think of the first that he has, he won the first race in the car tomorrow as well, famously. And then, complained about it. But I mean, he's got the records and trucks and Xfinity. And I mean, just, I'll tell you, man, so there's been a lot of conversations on podcasts this week about where he ranks, all time, where he ranks now, where he will rank.
Yeah.
A lot of Corey LaJoie said he's the best ever. He said he's going to be ahead of Jimmy Johnson.
It's not going to happen.
I mean,
sorry.
It's tough though,
can't
because
be done.
Jimmy's got 7 championships and Jimmy's got the Cup wins, but Kyle could get pretty close on the Cup wins. And he's not going to get 7 championships, but he's also got the whole other, the other series too. I know you don't count the other series, but
I know, but he's got to get to 4 Cup championships before he's even in the neighborhood, let alone on the same street. Yeah, I think so.
This from the guy
I think so.
This from the guy who puts Tony Stewart on the pedestal that he does with 3 championships.
Yeah, but Tony's a fringe top 10 all-time guy, and Kyle Busch I think is in the same club as him.
Yeah, I think
Tony and Kyle they have very similar resumes.
Oh, I would
very, very similar.
You don't put Kyle ahead of Tony right now?
Not
even
yet,
with 2 championships? No. Oh, come on, man. Come on.
No. Not yet. You can't.
Man.
You can't yet. You can't yet.
Can.
Well,
James,
he's got the 60 wins.
61 wins in 644 Cup Series races.
Sure.
He has a 10% win average. 9.5.
Yeah, that's great.
Incredible.
It is incredible. I know. Tony's got the 3. Kyle's got 2. I know they are. That's why I said they're still they are 1A and 1B. I don't think Kyle's
it's a conversation, and you're never going to have a win on that conversation. Yeah. No, is he better than Jimmy Johnson right now? No, he's not. Jimmy's the GOAT right now.
Yeah.
Could Kyle compete for that title? I think so.
Yeah. I think Kyle. So I think a more realistic conversation is can Kyle come after Jimmy? Can Kyle come after Jeff Gordon? That's a more realistic conversation. Well, because Jimmy,
go ahead.
Jimmy's so high. I was just gonna say Jimmy's just so high up there with the 7 titles.
That's the thing though. Is like okay, fair. So we compare Jeff Gordon in the Jimmy Johnson era. We compare Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon era. But here's Kyle Busch, who's done what he's done in the Jimmy Johnson era too.
Mm-hmm.
It's
yep. That's why. I mean, I've said this before on the podcast, but that's the most impressive thing that Tony Stewart ever did. Is he won 2 more championships during the Jimmy Johnson era. That's that's why you can't put him in the same club as Jimmy Johnson, but the fact that he got two of them out of there, and the same thing with Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch got two in the Jimmy Johnson era. That's it's hard, man. A lot of guys don't have them. Denny Hamlin doesn't have it.
Corey LaJoie listed on his podcast the top 3 of all time, and Kyle was number 1, and Dale Earnhardt wasn't in the top 3.
He's just doing a thing. He's doing a thing. I know that thing. I've seen that guy in the mirror. I know what you're doing, Corey. I know what you're doing. Doing a thing.
The Busch brothers combined 96 wins, most all-time wins for siblings.
Siblings, yep.
Past the Allisons, pretty cool.
Think of the siblings in the history of NASCAR.
Yeah.
And the Busch brothers are the ones.
Right.
With 3 combined championships and 96 wins.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And you got the Labanis on there. I think the Labanis get a lot of, should get a lot of credit.
Yeah.
But the Allisons, obviously, yeah. I mean, that's a lot of Bobby.
Right.
Doing that.
Yeah.
But, yeah. But of all the, I saw this was a funny one. You'll get this joke, Eric. I hope other people do. But Jeff Gordon and Robbie Gordon, great brothers.
Right. Yeah.
Great brothers with all-time wins. It's a joke for anybody who's a diehard. I know what I said. Sorry.
Right. that'd be like the father-son Michael Waltrip pair.
Yeah, Darryl. Yeah. And Darryl Wallace Jr. and Rusty Wallace.
Yeah, right. That's a good one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Or who was it? Was it Bill Weber? I think that compared Elliott Sadler and Adam Sandler. Like,
oh god,
dude, come on.
A good one. Yeah, that's funny. That's really good. I saw a tweet today of drivers driving to Las Vegas, and it was like their faces were crudely pasted on top of the hangover.
Okay.
And Kyle was screaming, bleep, yeah, we're going to Vegas. And the car he was screaming at was Kurt Busch, who gave him a subtle middle finger.
Nice.
And then rolled up the window. I thought it was really funny.
Nice.
But yeah, I wonder, I know Kurt wants to get behind the wheel. But I wonder what Kurt thinks about all this, just out of curiosity. Like, I wonder, like Kurt was so good. But man, Kyle's a whole nother echelon.
I think Kurt said back when he was getting recognition when he came into the series, I believe he said something along the lines of "just wait for my brother."
Yeah.
So I think Kurt, they've had their battles and they've had their rivalries over the years, but Kurt obviously has matured a ton now, and I think he respects what his brother's done.
Yeah.
And Kurt has nothing to hang his head low about. The dude has got a hell of a career, and probably if he wouldn't have thrown it away a couple times, would maybe be right up there with his brother with what he's accomplished.
He could have gotten to maybe 50 wins.
Yeah, I mean, Kurt paired with Penske was both a blessing and a curse, because it's like oil and water over there, but they could have done some great things together for sure, more than what occurred. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. But, one more thing we didn't mention with this win, and I think we should. It's not in the notes. So we've got the side that is Kyle Busch. Yes, he did this. This is amazing. Awesome for Richard Childress. What a moment for Chevrolet.
Yeah.
Opposite side of the coin. What does this do to Toyota? Sticking it in their crotch a little bit, especially after Mr. David Wilson was, saying there was days he wouldn't regret losing Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
I felt like this is a nice little piece of karma to come from that. What do you think of that, Eric?
I think this is more motivation for Kyle Busch.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, Toyota bungled this whole deal.
Oh yeah, they did.
Well,
Denny Hamlin said as much. I don't know if you had a chance to listen.
I didn't
to his podcast.
I didn't listen to his. I'm waiting for the video to come out because
okay.
I've been off the road all week, so I've just watched clips of podcasts this week.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting. Yeah. Denny, they post the full episode late in the week, so I was waiting for the to get posted.
Yeah, Denny had a couple of really good nuggets. One being he thinks that Childress has the best engines in the sport and has for a long time.
I did see that clip.
I didn't realize they were that highly regarded. I knew they had a decent program, but I didn't realize that was the case in the garage. And two, he said that Kyle Busch turned down a really lucrative offer from Gibbs, but wanted more, and feels like Kyle, because he felt slighted, would go to Richard Childress for less.
Yeah. Just
because. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Kyle's never come out and talked about that though, so I don't know. Denny could be doing Denny things, or he could be fairly tapped in. I don't know. I would assume he's probably tapped in with the Toyota people, so I'm sure they've, given him some information, but I don't know how much.
You would think he'd have some pretty good knowledge on the deal, and I don't think he'd throw Kyle under the bus if it wasn't true,
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, I think Joe Gibbs Racing and Kyle Busch benefit in the long run from this. They both needed a change.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder how much Kyle Busch even wanted to be back now, because I always was under the assumption that Gibbs was like, yeah, well, we can lowball him, and if he takes it, great, but if not, we've already got his replacement, and then we got Truex signed. So, I don't know all that, but was something I was just kind of thinking about as we were, heaping the praise on Kyle. I think we've got to also monitor what's going on with Toyota and Joe Gibbs, because that's going to be an enjoyable little bit of a rivalry now. Because if Kyle's going to start racking up trophies and they're not, that's going to turn into something. And Kyle's not going to play coy forever. He's going to probably say some stuff. So looking forward to that.
Last year, this race was our first glimpse at what would become a pretty impressive season from Team Trackhouse, and they continued that trend this week. Ross Chastain third, Daniel Suarez fourth. Both cars ran up front throughout the day. Looking like I may be eating my words on that prediction.
Yes. Chastain won both stages, and then Suarez overcame a speeding penalty on pit road and rallied all the way up to fourth. That was good. They looked fast. There's not a whole lot to say. I don't want to say Ross faded. Kyle just came on.
Fade the third.
Kyle just came on and kind of outraced him. Kyle was just faster at the end of the race. That's all that really was. It wasn't that Ross was, Ross and the Trackhouse team did anything wrong. It's just Kyle Busch was a little bit better that day. But that was impressive, man. Ross is fast. He led almost half the race. He's just going to be fast.
Yeah.
The rest of the year. I mean, he's been fast. So, I guess it's not too surprising.
Yeah.
But
RFK performed well. Brad Keselowski finishes 7th. Chris Buescher 13th. Both of them were up front.
Yeah. What a good day for those guys.
What are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, probably. Brad was really looking pretty strong. Buescher had to battle it a little bit, but they were the best Fords overall. I know Harvick got the top 5. But I'm starting to see kind of what we saw at the end of last year, Eric. They started to get a little momentum going and a little bit of speed in those cars. I think Brad's not going to be winless much longer. I think that's going to come to an end here before the halfway point of the season, if I had to guess.
Say that again?
He's going to win. I think Brad's going to get a win. I don't think he's going to be winless very long.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's in there.
Yep.
What else? You got Spire and LaJoie noted on here as well.
Yeah, they were just good all day. Like, that was a top 15 car all day, Eric.
Yeah.
That was really, really good to see. I would say one of their best days they've ever had. He's legitimately in the top 16 in points right now.
Yeah.
Based on his performances so far.
I think it's interesting that the rules changed this year to where he could make the playoffs. And he might not need that rule change to do it if he can get himself a win.
It was the Spire rule. Yeah.
So I've said it a few times on here. I think, first of all, I think LaJoie has, I think he's got more talent than what it shows. Because I still, even now, I still don't think they're in the equipment that everybody else is in. But I also think that LaJoie has grown a lot as a driver and is able to do more with lesser equipment than what he maybe did, a couple years ago.
Yeah, he has, he came along as one of the hot prospects, and it's been a tough stretch. He's been in a backmarker car for quite a while. But I mean, his career average finish is 26.7. Right now he's at 15. That would be a heck of a jump.
Yeah.
If that's something that he can sustain, even if he slips back just a little bit, that's really showing improvement for, what he's been driving his whole career. So that would be kind of cool to see if he can pull that off.
Yep. I agree. We already talked about California, great racing. As we've seen the last few times we've been there, sad to see it go. But we did get one extra winner this weekend, James, the final winner on the current configuration of Auto Club Speedway. Hunter Nemecheck gets the win in the Xfinity Series.
Yes, sir.
Got her done.
Got her done after it looked like it was the Cole Custer show.
Yeah.
What did he do? He slapped the wall at one point and it kind of threw him off, if I'm not mistaken, right? So
yeah, something like that.
Yep. But yeah, anyway, Hunter.
That Xfinity race was a good race, though.
Yeah, he's probably going to be the championship favorite this year. He's probably the best driver in the series with the best stuff now.
Yeah.
So, yep, he leads the last laps at Auto Club based on, well, we had snow.
Yeah. Right.
So snow in Southern California.
Right.
So yeah, we had to push the Xfinity Series race back a little bit.
James, a little trivia for you.
Yeah.
Auto Club Speedway. Do you know who was the first pole setter for the Cup Series at Auto Club Speedway?
Oh yes, I think I do. Ernie Irvan was on the front row.
That was going to be my next question. You're right. He was.
Who was started on the pole with Ernie Irvan? Was it Joe Nemecheck?
Yes, it was.
Good. Okay.
That's why I brought it up here. Joe Nemecheck was the first pole winner at Auto Club Speedway.
You like that pole, don't you?
Speedway.
I had to think about that one.
Yeah,
that's a random. That's a random factoid.
I'm impressed you got it. I mean, I did do it during the Hunter Nemecheck comment, but still, I'm impressed. I'm very impressed.
Well, pulling the Ernie Irvan off the front row. That's where I made my bank.
Do you know what else is special about this race with Ernie Irvan?
What's that?
It is the week after he won at Michigan to bring that whole thing full circle. Interesting that they ran California the first time the week after Michigan. Seeing as the track was so similar.
Well, he probably brought the same car. After that, I mean, that was Well, yeah, I remember that fondly. I was standing there.
One other thing worth mentioning at the from the Xfinity race, Sheldon Creed, man, hell of a save to not completely wreck that car on an inside wall.
He was on it,
man.
He was on the throttle. Holy
just
smokes.
Incredible.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I thought old Josh Berry was going to get his butt whooped after the race. He had a couple people mad at him.
Yeah, he was using the chrome horn a little bit.
He was a bit of a bull in a china shop in this race.
He was. Austin Dillon completed the entire 700 miles. Wasn't that what it was? Something like that. 750 miles. There was that storyline. I think I was gonna say. I know I mentioned Cole Custer before. Man, he might be really good this year too.
Yeah.
Especially all the Cup experience he's had. He's gonna that car looks fast. And then you've got, I know Riley Herbst has caught some heat in the past, but he seems to be having a nice run for Stewart Haas as well. So
Parker Kligerman was impressive.
Yep. Brett Moffitt.
Yeah, Brett Moffitt, man. Again, he's one of those. He's that Ross Chastain guy that kind of just can't ever seem to find the right ride. He's got the talent, just doesn't find the right ride.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's going to click for him. And those junior motorsports guys, of course, Sam Mayer, Justin Allgaier, Josh Berry, they were all up there all day too.
Oh yeah, and they didn't wreck each other this time, which was good.
Yeah.
They did an onboard. I think they had the driver's eye with Raja Karuth.
Yes.
And he had his hands full.
Yeah.
And I could not believe. I know these guys have great reflexes, but that driver's eye really shows you.
Amazing.
And he was coming off of 2, and that car snapped on him, and he caught it. I was super impressed. I'm like, God dang! Even the guys who are, middle of the pack are, still amazing. When you see that firsthand.
Yep, definitely. Anything else with Auto Club we want to hit on before we leave it in the rearview mirror for however many years before we go back?
See you in 2025, I guess.
Yeah, maybe if we're lucky.
Maybe.
Let's talk some news. Hey, well, let's not quite leave Auto Club out completely. We discussed it already. But NASCAR sold basically $500 million worth of land. Held on to roughly 96 acres of land. The rest of it will be development. I guess the biggest thing for me here is that, there was we talked last week about, I doubted whether we'd get an announcement that they're going to keep it or whatever, but obviously it's going away. You said they're taking lights down. They sold the land. So Of course, there is a part of that agreement too is leasing the ability to lease the parking lots for race parking as well.
Yep.
Supposedly, like I said, we're going to see something or hear something at Phoenix in a couple weeks, and maybe we'll know more about what the proposal is for this short track and whether it's going to actually happen or not, and maybe a timeline. But yeah, the money is changing hands, and NASCAR made out pretty good on it on this deal. I guess it's kind of hard to say they shouldn't have done it, but at the same time, man, we're losing a good track.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. Great racing. I know we've kind of gone over it, but this track came full circle, Eric, and the story can't be told without telling how bad it really was at one point.
I believe on this podcast we talked about turning it into a super speedway.
We did, yeah. And at one time, listen to the beginning of this podcast. This was a 500-mile event. Can you imagine 500 miles at Michigan? I mean, I think we used to run 500. We used to run 600 miles at Michigan. Way back. I mean, this is way before our time, I think. But that is, I cannot fathom 500 miles here now. Beyond the
500 miles even on the current configuration would suck.
Yeah, and we used to do it twice a year.
Yeah.
And they had one night race and it was much maligned. And then all of a sudden the track found its purpose.
Yeah.
They reduced it to one date. They got it down to 400 miles, and all of a sudden the racing really, really started to shine. I mean, I will remember some very good finishes there. Harvick chasing down Johnson in 2010. 2013, the Logano Hamlin fiasco with Kyle Busch winning that one.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, Larson, Elliott, really great race. I mean, Larson in the Xfinity series was great. IndyCar had great races here.
Oh, best IndyCar race of all time happened here.
Yeah. Some of the worst crashes I've ever seen happen there too. But man, what a story this track had. And only, and it's funny, Eric, you and I, 1997 doesn't seem like it was that long ago.
No.
And sometimes it seems like it was forever ago.
Right.
But I remember when this track was brand new, and it was California and Texas. All those tracks started to pop up, and it was a cool thing way back then. And it's funny, like Dale Earnhardt raced on that surface.
Yeah, that's why I originally went back and looked for the inaugural races. Just it's like, holy crap, I forgot that Earnhardt raced here.
Yep.
Because it doesn't feel like the track is that old.
I know, and it's like, and it hasn't changed. Like Texas has changed and been ruined.
Yeah, right.
Like you said, since California started, Chicagoland and Kentucky have come and gone off the schedule.
Right.
We've had Kansas built and Vegas. All these tracks have since popped up, and we hated intermediate tracks for so long. We got rid of the Brickyard 400, and California was still there. So it's just very, you don't think that 1997 is historic, but my God, I mean, I read articles from Nate Ryan and Ryan McGee, about some of their classic experiences at California. And it was a special place. Unfortunately, I wonder if someday, if anything were to happen to Michigan, it would hurt. It would hurt me. This one doesn't hurt me as much because it's not my home track, but I can only imagine if this is where you've been coming, especially people who are our age, Eric, who have grown up with the sport.
Yeah.
They were young in 1997, and now they've got families of their own, and it's probably a shared experience that they've been able to pass down too. So I mean, I can understand, where that would be. That's where the eulogizing comes in, I think, too.
Yep. Yeah, I don't really have anything to add. I guess California always held a little place in my heart just because it's so similar to Michigan.
It's a twin, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
The banking's 14 degrees instead of 18 like Michigan, but it's a little bit wider. But otherwise, it's a very similar racetrack, and so I always kind of felt like it's one of those things you always felt like you'd been there even though you hadn't been.
Yep.
So I mean, I remember watching videos of people, from the stands of different racing moments and whatnot. And it's like, yeah, man, this feels real familiar. It feels like,
Yep.
you know, because it was basically Roger Penske taking what he'd purchased at Michigan and building his version of it out in California. Yep. So,
exactly.
And you know, it's a Roger Penske facility, so you know it's beautiful.
Yep. Yeah. Well taken care of.
He doesn't do anything he doesn't do anything halfway. So,
well, I mean, we know that firsthand when he bought Michigan.
Yeah.
I mean, Eric, you know this.
Oh yeah.
The fan section behind the grandstands was still gravel and dirt.
Yep.
And Roger Penske purchased it, and that bad boy was blacktopped real nice.
Yes, it was.
And turned into a real nice fan experience.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's what Roger does. He doesn't mess around. So
that is true. James, guess what?
Yeah, man.
Kyle Larson is going to run the Indy 500 for 2 years.
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer Fryer. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yep, 2-year deal for Kyle Larson. I don't know what else to add to that other than, hey, if you don't get to see him once, you'll get a second chance. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. I can't remember. Did Jimmy say, is Jimmy running it again?
He's interested. I don't think he's got a seat yet.
Gotcha.
I don't think he's got a seat yet. But yeah, I think Jimmy wants to run it again. I just don't think he has it set in stone.
Right.
That he'll run again.
Huh. Yeah, that's cool. I guess that's good on Kyle. You know, get that done. Man.
Yep. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, me too. It'd be fun to see a couple more. I'd love to see Kyle Busch get it done, get over there, and who else?
I think Kyle's gonna be good. I think he's gonna be good.
Yeah. Which one, Larson or Busch?
Well, either of them will. Yeah. But I think Larson will be.
I think Larson's gonna scare him over there. I think Larson's probably got the best chance of anybody to go over there and win it.
When he gets up to speed.
Dude, he doesn't even have to get up to speed.
Well,
how many late model races did he run before he won? One.
Well, that's the thing is I think once he then maybe that's what I mean is once he gets the speed of these cars under his wing, he'll be fine. He'll be the first legit chance to win since Tony Stewart, I think.
Yeah.
And Kurt Busch gave it a really good run.
Yeah, Kurt did.
But Tony Stewart, I mean, legit could have won it.
Right.
A couple of times, but yeah, this will be the first time in the history of the double that somebody's coming in. I think he's going to be really, really strong.
Looking forward to it.
Yep.
Wish it was this year.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
NASCAR has updated their short track / road course / wet weather aero package because it does apply to all the tracks that have wet weather packages as well.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Shorter rear spoiler, some changes under the car, basically a 30% reduction in downforce. We will get to see it at Phoenix here coming up.
Yeah, I'm hoping this is the right direction. It sounds like it. Less downforce sounds good to me.
I hope so, man.
We got to fix it.
Whatever we can do to make these things race better on the short tracks again.
Yep.
You know, it hasn't been good. I think we've taken a step in the right direction on the road courses with the stage rule change. This can only help it, hopefully. And yeah. We need better racing there. That's for sure.
Yep.
So, Ross Chastain. We don't talk about sponsorship stuff here very often. But I think this one's worth talking about because next year Kevin Harvick is going to be in the TV booth and will no longer be sponsored by Anheuser-Busch. So of course they're looking for their next face of their brand, and it looks like Ross Chastain right now is a leading candidate. Although Kyle Busch tweets out that
he did,
his name's all over it, literally.
Awesome.
But yeah, Ross Chastain. What do you think of Ross Chastain as potentially the new Anheuser-Busch driver?
Well, I think he fits the mold of what they're looking for.
Yeah, I think so. I know you have some feelings on it.
I have feelings. I will.
You don't believe in Ross Chastain yet.
I don't. I think Anheuser-Busch would be better off going with another driver. However,
I mean, how cool would it be to see them put Budweiser on the 8 car?
That's right.
You know,
yeah, it would be. They could do a really good throwback.
That'd be pretty neat.
Here's what I really like is that Justin Marks and that Trackhouse group have shaken up the game more than I was willing to give them credit for at the beginning because I thought Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan was that. I thought that was going to be the team.
Yeah.
It turns out this Trackhouse team is that. They are those guys. They are shaking up the game.
Yeah, from a performance standpoint and a business standpoint.
Yes, and if they get this type of sponsor to solidify what they're trying to do, that is going to be problematic for a lot of teams. To say the least, it will be the most problematic for Stewart-Haas Racing, which this is their anchor. and without Anheuser-Busch, I do worry what would happen to that organization after this. So I understand why Anheuser-Busch wants to do it. It looks really nice. That being said, the guy I would I'd always make a phone call on Kyle Larson first,
right?
And Kyle Busch. Those would be two of the guys I would put a flyer on those guys first.
Well, and they've got, Anheuser-Busch has a relationship past relationship with Rick Hendrick.
Yep, and Childress.
Yeah. So
yep, with Harvick.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yep. So yeah, there is some. Anheuser-Busch has never cared what the car owner is. They go with the driver. True. So there's the Casey Kane version of the Budweiser sponsorships as well. So, but yeah, think of all the drivers Budweiser has sponsored. That's a who's who of, all timers.
Yeah.
Darrell Waltrip and didn't Terry Labonte and Junior Johnson. Those were a couple of Budweiser guys.
Yep.
Obviously Dale Jr. and Casey Kane and Kevin Harvick and that's
Ricky Craven.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh
yeah, I forgot about Ken Schrader. I remember when Ricky Craven had the NASCAR 50th anniversary car on the track.
Ran the number 50 for the year.
Oh, I wish we would have done that for 75. I just remembered that.
Yeah.
God dang it. Yep, I forgot about the Hendrick affiliation because they were with Schrader for the 1, 2, 3 at Daytona. That was a big deal. So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I like this for Trackhouse. This would be huge for them.
I think Chastain's a pretty darn good fit as a personality for the Budweiser brand or the the Anheuser-Busch brand. He definitely, if I really sit there and think of drivers in the garage, like you said, you would always want to go to one of the top guys, but this is the top up and coming guy, which is probably what Anheuser-Busch wants more so than an established guy anyway. Somebody they can build. Ross doesn't have a brand yet, really. So why not? Why not get the guy that you can build the brand around?
And you can have a watermelon flavored beer.
Yeah, right.
Unless if they already don't.
You're not going to build a brand around Kyle Larson or Kyle Busch. They've got their brands.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
and I another driver I thought of, which would just because I thought it would be funny, would be Brad Keselowski, just because of the Miller affiliation for so long.
Right. That would be
obviously
funny.
Yeah. Obviously that's not going to happen. Another guy I thought would be a really good Budweiser guy is Ryan Blaney.
Yeah.
I thought Ryan Blaney would be a great Budweiser
don't think
guy.
Blaney's got enough. Blaney needs to come out of his freaking shell, man. Cause he can.
Yeah, he can. And he's cool.
I swear that Hendrick, I swear that Penske's got him locked down or something. That
maybe
he needs to let loose, man. I want to see more out of Blaney. When he got excited at the Coliseum last year, that was the greatest moment because you don't ever see it out of him.
Exactly.
Before we move on to our picks and stuff, I wanted to tackle this because I don't know how much we've tackled it, like really gone into it. I know we've discussed it off and on here, but the 4-car. So Kevin Harvick's retiring next season. Mm-hmm. Stuart Haas is going to have to fill that car. We've kind of tossed off the podcast around ideas of who could potentially fill that seat and who you would go for if you were Tony Stewart or Gene Haas to try and fill that ride. So I want to go through a list. James, these are the guys that are yet to sign for 2024, according to J-Ski. All right.
Okay. Yep.
Corey LaJoie.
Okay.
Denny Hamlin.
I forgot about that.
Martin Truex Jr.
Oh yeah.
Christopher Bell's a question mark because according to J-Ski, he doesn't have an extension beyond next year.
Oh boy.
Toyota
ain't letting him go.
Harrison Burton.
Okay.
Justin Haley.
Okay.
Michael McDowell.
Oh God.
Todd Gilliland.
Okay.
Question marks because it's not really clear. Noah Gragson, I'm assuming, has a 1-year deal with Legacy. And Austin Cindric may potentially not be signed beyond this year.
Nah, he's tied in with Penske.
You would think so, yeah. That's why those are question marks for me. And I'm not saying that those are guys that are going to jump over there. I'm just saying those are guys that are going to be looking to sign something this year. So
Blaney's
hold on. Here's who's not on that list.
Okay.
And number one, Eric Jones, because we've discussed Eric Jones a lot. Eric Jones signed a multi-year deal last year.
He's locked down. He's not going anywhere.
William Byron is signed through 2025.
Yep, he's not going anywhere.
Bubba Wallace signed a multi-year deal last year.
He's not going anywhere.
Joey Logano signed a long-term extension last year.
Yep, he's not going anywhere.
Ryan Blaney signed a long-term extension last year.
Yeah, dang it.
Chase Elliott is with Hendrick through 2027.
Yeah, he's good.
Larson is with Hendrick through 2026. And of course, we know that Ross Chastain and Alex Bowman just signed multi-year extensions.
Yes.
Jayski doesn't have an extension set on Chris Buescher, but I know he re-signed last year, and I thought it was for a few years. So I don't think Chris Buescher is available
I think Brad Keselowski's happy with that right now, unless Ford were to call and tell him, we've got another guy we can go after. But yeah.
So obviously you have Xfinity guys and truck guys and whatever. But I feel like, and I don't know if you agree with me on this, but they really need an anchor veteran in that spot.
Yes, they do.
They can't afford to put somebody like a Todd Gilliland or a Noah Gragson or one of these young guys in there, or somebody from the Xfinity series, unless you were to grab somebody like Justin Allgaier or something. But I don't think Allgaier has proven himself to be able to be a Cup driver at this point.
No, he's done. Yeah.
So who do you pick? There's not.
I have an idea.
Unless you buy somebody out of a first of all, I really think I don't know if Christopher Bell is veteran ready.
Well,
but I think if you could get him, I think he's a good fit.
He's the best of the free agents to go get. You could build around Christopher Bell.
What about bringing somebody like Martin Truex Jr. in there? Do you think you could steal him from Joe Gibbs and Toyota?
Yeah, but for how long? And you're just that's a Band-Aid.
Yeah, I mean, but maybe
that's a 1 year.
Maybe that's what they need to build the team around.
The problem
look at Kurt Busch at 2311 and what he did.
Exactly. The problem Stuart Haas has right now is they messed up the pipeline.
Yeah.
Big time messed up the pipeline.
Yep.
And they booted out Cole Custer because that was a misfire.
Yeah. And you got to think that that's what Cole Custer's thinking is, well, great, I got to ride next year,
And Eric Almirola, obviously he tried to retire.
Yeah.
Couldn't. So
Smithfield begged him to come back.
Yep, he's there for a while, and who's to say that Smithfield won't jump ship if Eric Almirola wants to be done?
Right.
I believe that Chase Briscoe will be a really good driver.
Yeah. I agree.
I think he'll be more like a Brad Keselowski type than a Kyle Larson type, I guess.
Yeah.
Somebody who's kind of, one of those guys, but he's going to win you races, I think, down the road.
Mm-hmm.
However, Chase Briscoe's not Anheuser-Busch anchor material at this point in his career.
Not veteran. He's not a veteran.
Yeah, and that's where Stuart Haas really screwed this whole thing up.
Yeah.
Because they had all veterans over there. They had Busch and Boyer and Stewart and obviously Harvick for a long time. So here's my idea, Eric. Okay. Here's my idea.
I'm curious. I'm interested.
Okay. First off, first thing I would do is I would call about Christopher Bell.
Yeah.
But you're gonna have to figure out Toyota's not gonna let him go, I don't think. And then I would call about Ryan Blaney, would be my second choice. Okay. Those are my top two choices, but Ryan Blaney, that's a tough one to sell.
Penske is not letting him go.
All right. So those are two no's, right? That's what I think.
Yep.
That's not gonna happen. My idea, you're gonna love this. This is a wild idea. It's a wild idea. You turn the 4 car into the SRX car in the Cup Series, and you celebrity driver that bad boy with big time sponsors. That's what I would do.
Interesting.
I would bring back some legends to run that car, because you're not replacing Kevin Harvick. Who are you going to replace Kevin Harvick with? Can't be done.
Who are you bringing back as legends?
So I'm going to bring in Stewart for a few.
Okay.
Try to get that Daytona 500, maybe something like that.
Stewart was just asked by Bubba the Love Sponge. Did he say he wasn't coming back?
I heard he did Bubba the Love Sponge.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I didn't watch it. It's in my watch.
He did
list.
the whole circuit. It was rough.
Well, he's going drag racing. He's got to get his name out there.
Oh yeah, he did. He sold it. I'm gonna tell you. I listened to a podcast with him on it.
I listened to that one too. I seeked it out.
We know he's not. Yeah, we know he's not coming back, so that's fine. But I would get like Stewart and Harvick lined up. Harvick for the NBC portion of the season.
Okay.
I would.
Harvick said he's done too, though. He said he's not going to do that.
I would call guys like Rusty Wallace. I would call.
Oh, come on. Rusty ain't getting back in a car.
I would call. Who's some other good veterans, Eric? I mean,
we gotta think forward too, because some of these guys still got relationships with their manufacturers.
Yeah. What's Dale Jarrett up to?
Yeah. Dale Jarrett's not gonna get in a race car.
Mark Martin maybe would want to do.
Mark Martin would
road
laugh
course.
at you.
Yeah. That's the best idea I can think of.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with that car.
Do you take a shot at somebody? Is Corey LaJoie ready to be a veteran when he hasn't won? Do you take somebody like him and give him an opportunity in a top-notch ride?
But what sponsor's coming with him?
That's true.
That's the problem.
That's true. They need a sponsor.
That's the problem. And that's where I think, like, your idea of Martin Truex Jr. actually might be realistic because of the Bass Pro Shops.
Yeah, they've had a relationship
synergy.
with Bass Pro.
I just don't know if Martin wants to drive anymore. You know what? I know Kyle Busch has a deal. Maybe it doesn't work. I don't know. But Eric, I mean, this is why we're talking this out, because it's a problem. It's a big problem. Who do you think? What's your thoughts on this?
I mean, short of buying somebody out of a contract, which I just don't see happening this day and age. I mean, I think what happened with Tyler Reddick is the only reason that worked is because of how the Kyle Busch thing fell together and how
That's right.
pissed that Childress was and the way it went down.
Yes.
Otherwise, Reddick doesn't get out of that a year early.
No.
So, I mean, I think you throw everything at Christopher Bell. Everything you possibly can at Christopher Bell, but
he's the only one.
I don't know that Bell's ready to be a veteran yet.
He did just race for a championship.
I know he was in the Final Four.
Chastain was too.
Maybe Bell, or someone like Truex to hold you over for a couple of years and help build those guys up that are there now that need that veteran presence. I mean, then at the same point, James, Hendrick went a couple of years with a pretty young team, before building that back up to having veterans. So I don't know. Maybe
you have to go young for a while.
Maybe.
I just don't know who they have for sponsorship. That Busch sponsorship is super valuable.
Maybe they bring Danica back. I mean,
that's pretty intense, Eric.
Right? I don't know. It's a conundrum for sure.
That's why
obviously they have Cole Custer to fall back on, but I don't think that's the answer. I think
and that's the problem. Like, you look at the Xfinity series, you can call on. I mean, you got Herbst, you got Cole Custer in house.
Yeah, you
could go after Hunter Nemecheck, but he's Toyota.
I mean, you could do the Danica Patrick thing again and throw Haley Deegan in there, but
there's that possibility. There's also Connor Daly's of the world, or do you call Daniel Ricciardo out of F1?
I mean, that is a thing you can consider though too. Is maybe they go the Juan Pablo Montoya route and they pull somebody that you'd never expect.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I jokingly kind of put together the all-star car for the 4-car, but that's the way I feel about how problematic this is.
Yeah,
because I'd like to see them keep Anheuser-Busch and stay strong. But if they lose that funding, that is gonna be hard for a 4-car organization to come back from. I mean, your worst case scenario, you're looking at selling charters and downsizing, and that's not what we want when you've got a team that's got a couple of championships and should be a powerhouse too.
Yeah, I'll be really interested to see what. I mean, in theory, right now we've got 3 of the 4 JGR cars looking to re-sign for this year. So we're talking about Stuart Haas. That JGR organization could look a lot different next year too.
That's exactly right. Yeah, Martin Truex could retire.
Yeah,
Denny Hamlin says he wants to retire with Gibbs. I'm sure Denny Hamlin's fine.
Yeah, Denny's not going to Stuart Haas, but Denny could very well go over to 2311. If it doesn't work out at Gibbs. Yeah, I think that'll be his future anyway.
I think eventually. Yeah.
As much as he says now that it's not, I think as soon as the FedEx relationship goes away, if it does, that'll be that.
He's building for the future.
But yeah, I mean, so that's interesting. I mean, maybe we need to stop thinking about Stuart Haas and think about that team and what they're going to do.
Yep.
But they've got guys in the pipeline though.
That's right. That's what exactly they can bring in a John Hunter Nemecheck.
Yep.
And they have sponsorship that they can move around. I mean, they're okay. They've got Interstate. They've got DeWalt and all those other sponsors that they can lean on. So
interesting. It's gonna be fun.
Yep. It's a good one.
Just when we thought everybody was locked down and things were going to be quiet this year, there's still plenty of action to come.
Silly season is up and running.
Speaking of plenty of action, we're heading to one of the better races from last year. We're going back to Las Vegas this weekend. Yep. It is the Kyle Busch weekend, as Kyle is running all 3 races, and Brexton's racing too. Looking at our picks from last week, James, I picked Kyle Larson, which was a big mistake. The electrical issues did me in, the rain did me in, and your Chris Buescher pick looked pretty brilliant. Well, as you now have a whopping 6-point lead over me.
Yeah, I didn't lose a Kyle Larson for 8 points, so I guess I'll take the victories where I can.
Yeah. So I get first pick though because I'm behind, and I swung for the fences last week, and I could very well take it easy this week. But James, I'm going with Mo this week, and I'm gonna say it is a Busch 4-race sweep this weekend, and I'm picking Kyle as my pick at his home track to get her done.
Going with Kyle Busch.
Busch.
Okay.
I'm feeling it, man. I'm feeling it. This is one of those. He's gonna screw up, and he's gonna win everything but the Cup race. You know how it's gonna work. But man, how cool would it be? How cool would it be? Can you imagine the diecast set? I'll have to buy the diecast set if he wins all 3 races and Brexton wins, because they're gonna throw that Bandolero car in there too.
Oh yeah, and it'd be all 3 different numbers too. Because I think it's the 51, the 10, and
that is funny.
Yeah, the 51, the 10, and the 8. Yep. That's cool.
There you go.
All right, so Rowdy.
All
right. So I think I'm gonna play it. I think I'm gonna go another week without using one of my heavy hitters, and I am going to say, I'm gonna burn an Alex Bowman here.
Okay.
I think Alex Bowman's gonna be really good.
A good pick.
Yeah, I was leaning towards Bubba Wallace or Tyler Reddick, but I'd like to see those guys get through a race without any issues first. I don't feel comfortable with that. Alex Bowman actually had some speed at Auto Club, so let me see Alex Bowman here.
I think Alex Bowman's a good pick. I think Trackhouse cars are a really good pick here too.
Yep.
I think Chevy overall is a good pick here.
Yep.
So.
Yep, I do like the 2311 cars though. If I had to say, I think after what we saw last year from them,
I agree.
They should come in here and they should be strong. So if if Bubba Wallace comes in and wins this race, I'll kick myself, but that's okay. I've got Kansas and stuff yet. So
there you go. I'm guessing you just probably want to skip over fantasy, right? You don't want to discuss that?
Oh my God. That was, so I like you, I had Larson but on my fantasy team. So I thought, no big deal. Swapped him out. And I had to actually swap him back in. It got so bad. I finished dead last. And so my championship hunt is already on the fritz.
Who'd have thought a 9th place finish for me would have been a good finish?
Heck yeah, you had a great day. So Cole Custer's last stand was a win. Trey 17 second, and Fast to the Grass third. So one of those names we know from the past.
Yeah.
But a couple of newbies. Eric, like you said, 9th place, the KB show. And I brought up the rear, dead last.
Yeah.
Overall, now we can do overall standings, which is even more enjoyable.
18 competitors. That's awesome.
18 competitors this year. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. So Cole Custer's in the lead, then 3-time champ. That's Ranger, and then Fast to the Grass is third. Eric, you are
consistently in 9th.
Yep, consistently in 9th. That's great. I am 17th out of 18. The only guy behind me is the guy who missed the first week. So.
Nice.
Yep. So it's not great for your defending champ. But as I told you before the podcast started, I got my one. I'm okay. I don't hate it yet, but I'm starting to hate it again. So,
yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Any shout outs this week, James?
Yeah. Well, I kind of did it earlier. Nate Ryan had a really good piece on NBC Sports on Auto Club. That's what I wanted to shout out. I kind of hinted at it earlier, but go check that out if you haven't already. There's a lot of good stuff going on out there. Other than that, that was my only major shout out.
I don't really have anything. Just one more shout out to the late Bob Jenkins on the great intro to the inaugural race, and pretty much every ESPN Speed World intro was just absolutely brilliant under Bob Jenkins.
One of the goats, man.
Miss him, man. He did such a great job. And I watched the first Well, okay, so I watched the first 7 laps of the race, James, because the first commercial break was 7 laps in. Just for the record, just for the people that bitch that we can't go 10 laps without a commercial break nowadays, and we used to. Yeah, 7 laps in was the first commercial break. But man, I'll tell you, the production quality so much less, but the presentation so much better than what we have now. Man, it was just nice to just watch a race without 30,000 graphics on the screen, and they just had the pylon with the top 10 numbers. And it was just good racing, and that's what it was. It was fun to watch. So miss that old Twisted Sister car. That package was great back in the day, and just the horsepower coming off the turn. They could actually, come off the turn behind somebody without pushing all the way to the wall. It's good stuff.
Did you see how much coverage ESPN is giving F1?
No.
As it starts up this weekend? Holy smokes. No commercial breaks, all this extended coverage. 3 races that are in the Americas will be on
commercial breaks when there's no advertisers. I mean,
well, dude, I'm telling you, they got some stuff, but they're
James,
doing all
F1 doesn't even touch NASCAR ratings.
I'm just telling you, I wish that NASCAR had that kind of coverage.
I'm not saying, yeah, an ESPN that nobody watches anymore.
Eric, it still gets.
It's not Fox. Is it ABC or ESPN?
They're going to do the American home races.
Oh,
There's
three whole races on network TV.
3 races will be on ABC. Well, you can't run a race on ABC at 2 a.m, obviously. Have you watched Drive to Survive?
No, yet? I have not.
Okay. All right. Well, it's back and it's a force. So.
No, I didn't get through the first season on that. I just, I do enjoy it. I like the personalities and stuff, and I like Formula One racing to a certain extent. I'll sit here and pick on you about it.
That's fine.
But it's just not my thing to just, dive into.
I don't watch all of the races by any means.
Yeah, no, I didn't. But even the show, I just can't stay concentrating on it that long.
I was playing the freaking video game on Xbox and all. Man, it's rough.
Yeah, I bought the new.
Kind of like it.
I bought the newest one.
Oh, it's on Game Pass, man. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it was on sale on PlayStation over the holidays, so I bought it. And I've raced on it a little bit, but I don't know. Having to learn a damn new game again is like too much effort.
Yeah, I understand that.
I just want to do the whole sim thing and get out of the racing with the little game controller and all that stuff.
Did you see who was playing iRacing this week?
Dale Jr.?
No, Tom Brady.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
He's sponsoring a car at Le Mans. Yeah. There he was on iRacing.
Well, everybody's bitching about Dale Jr. getting the Cars Tour on iRacing before some other road course series or whatever, and before Monaco comes to the sim and all that. But people don't realize that Dale Jr. is partial owner of iRacing.
That's right.
Yeah, he's got a little pull there, guys.
And because of the Cars Tour and everything else that he's doing with iRacing, getting it scanned and whatnot. North Wilkesboro's back, by the way, so...
Yeah.
Dale Jr. saved North Wilkesboro Speedway with iRacing.
Yeah, he did. 100%.
So can't bitch at him too bad.
No, I'm not bitching at him, but other people are. I saw people ranting and raving in the iRacing Reddit subreddit this week about it.
Boo freaking who.
Yep. But
go play the other sim. Oh wait.
Yeah, right. Any black flags this week, James? I don't really have any myself. I don't think.
Yeah, I gave myself a black flag.
Yeah, definitely you. I'll definitely jump on that bandwagon.
Yeah,
that was trash. You're the fantasy guy, man. You suck.
I know. I should have brought Jackass Cornerback.
Terrible start of the season.
Terrible, just terrible. I did black flag myself on a tweet I was gonna send. I sent it to you, and then I deleted it before I sent it. So, I thought it was a really good one, though.
Yeah,
that was a good one. Other than that, usually it's me. I'm the black flag. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be nicer.
I'll black flag COVID for keeping me down this week, but whatever.
yeah. I was wondering if that was going to come up.
Yeah. Slip it in here at the end. Yeah, that's why we're a little late this week, but no biggie. I'm doing good. I'm surviving.
People wonder why we're recording on a Thursday.
Yeah,
well,
it's not on purpose.
Eric was incapacitated for 7 days.
Yeah. I only stayed in bed for 2 straight days. No biggie.
Oh yeah, the reaction I had when I texted you said, "Hey, you want to record tonight?" Blah blah blah. Well, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be it sounds like a vacation.
Well, the first night I postponed, I didn't even know I had it yet. I just knew I was sick, but yeah.
And then you woke up in the middle of the night, I assume. And
yeah, well, all night I didn't sleep.
Yep.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, I remember my adventures with the Rona.
Yep, good stuff. Good stuff.
Not looking forward to it.
James, where can people find you on social media if they want to talk to you during the week?
James Cush on Twitter.
You can find me at TSuperspeedway on Twitter. You can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and Anchor. We did switch over to Anchor as a host. It's messed up a little bit with the website to where you have to click on a link to listen to the episode. I'm working on all that, fixing that. But either way, it still feeds into your RSS feeds and all your popular platforms like it used to. So shouldn't be an issue for most people. Wherever you find us today, we hope you subscribe and continue to listen. If you go to anchor.fm/thesuperspeedway, you can leave us an audio message and we may play it on the show. I actually should check those and see if we have any. I don't think we do, but feel free to complain about your fantasy picks, complain about the race, cuss and swear and do whatever you want to do, and we'll air it if we can. Yeah, tell us we're idiots. We're good with that too. We do that to ourselves all the time. We go to Las Vegas Motor Speedway this weekend. It is the Kyle Busch weekend. As Kyle attempts to win all three. Brexton's on the track at the old bull ring. Should be a good weekend of racing. The forecast looks good. A little windy on Sunday, but hopefully no snow. We'll be back next week to break it all down and talk about it all. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.